views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. I'm telling you, it is like unbelievable. Unbelievable. You know, I'm Dr. Pat, just in case some of you are new, and I actually got an email from someone yesterday, and they said, you know, like halfway through the show, we didn't even know who you are. Can you please tell people who you are? Through the show, when the show opens up and says Dr. Pat Show, we don't even know who you are. You talked all about your guest, blah, 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 your guest, and I'm thinking to myself, who the heck are you? I just did that with Sarah. I said, well, who are you? Because it wasn't Benny, unless Benny, like, you know, had a moment there, but it was like, yeah, this is the Dr. Pat Show. This is Transformation Talk Radio. This is TransformationRadio.fm. And I have got Dr. Kelly Neff joining me here today because she is all about the lucid planet. And you know what? When you step out into the world and you're banging down the doors of the soul, this is the quote for the day. Bang down the door of your soul. You gotta bang down the door of your soul. Now, why is that? People are listening and saying, no, we don't have to do that. Our soul is so kind. Because our soul has so not heard from you and so long, you gotta remind it who you are. That's what you gotta do. Today, the pathway to loving yourself more deeply with Dr. Kelly. And let me just say something. When I first met Dr. Kelly, I was shocked at the synchronicities of things. And I'm going to say something to you. If you go to her website, and Benny, Sarah, do this, thelucidplanet.com, L-U-C-I-D, planet.com. It is one of the most amazing, okay, Maria, Justin, and Jessica, don't take this personally. It is one of the most amazing websites I have ever seen. I go to this website and she is providing so much information. She has got so much for us to learn, know, connect. Not just the radio show, but look, mind, body, heal, love, transform, evolve, vision, live, fun, radio. That's her menu on the website. Mind, body, heal, love, transform, evolve, vision, live, fun, radio. When I grow up, I want to be Dr. Kelly Neff.
Oh, Dr. Pat, when I grow up, I want to be Dr. Pat. I mean, you have inspired me so much, and getting into radio is something I always wanted to do, but I totally did not have the cojones, and I didn't know where to start. And, you know, Dr. Pat, think about the topics that you cover. I mean, my goodness, you have got everything. You've got psychics, you've got healing, you've got medical stuff and Lyme disease and just the whole gamut of everything. It's really amazing. So thank you for being an inspiration and leading me down this crazy pathway of radio into the unknown and, you know, helping guide me. I really appreciate it.
You know what? You know what's happening right now? Think about this. You and I share something in common. If we go back and we think about the first time we met and like an epiphany happened, yes, you know, the guy that we studied with is looking at us right now and probably thinking,
these two crazy kids,
take their name off the graduation list.
I think they're proud. I think if anything, they're pretty proud because it's all about, what did you say, beating down the door?
Beating down the door of your soul. You got to Restore your soul. Well, let's talk about this for a minute, because here you and I are. You are also the author, you're psychologist, author, founding director of the Lucid Planet. But beyond all of that, this is really, and it's been so fun to watch, the emergence of Dr. Kelly Neff and beyond. And here's what's kind of interesting. You're not just about the psychology, but you really represent the integration and harmony of body, mind, soul. Visionary art, music. Anybody that goes to your website, Sarah and Benny, I hope you've done that. You will see that there is something that happens when we say yes. Mm-hmm. I wanted to ask you this question because this is your topic today. What have been your challenges, right, as Dr. Kelly, right, of looking at your own pathway to loving yourself, girl?
Oh, man, it's such a great question. In psychology, we actually joke about how, well, you know this, it's very easy to have the knowledge and to help other people solve their problems, but that doesn't mean you can apply it to your own life. I mean, we never said that we kind of understand how to use these tools in our lives. And so there's definitely been a struggle in the sense of always feeling like I didn't really fit in and always feeling like I had to kind of people please and try to give everyone everything they want in hopes that, maybe someone would someday help me meet my needs. And of course, it's just not a healthy way to live. And I've been down this road of being surrounded by narcissists. And I know we've talked a lot about this. And having narcissists just kind of like draining or vamping your life energy, but feeling kind of unworthy to escape from that. The narcissists are very good at making you believe that you need them and that you're nothing without them and you have to keep giving to them. And so I have been down that road. And the one thing that really got me out of it was quieting myself down and going within and really listening and connecting to myself, and almost in a soul retrieval type of way where I have conversations with myself, my younger self, in my mind. And that might sound kind of crazy to people, but there's really something to be said for focusing in on the times in your life when you feel like you weren't good to yourself and forgiving yourself for those times. Forgiving yourself for placating these narcissists for so long or not standing up for yourself. And then you kind of start to realize that through that forgiveness process, you can make inroads into loving yourself more deeply and being okay with where you're going because you've learned from the mistakes you've made in the past.
Well, and this is what you and I are talking about, because what is it about us? Okay, here. We both are specialists in correlations. Here we go. What's a correlation between being a graduate of Claremont University and our association with narcissism and narcissists in our lives? I don't know. It's a weird thing. I mean, and then look at us now. But here's what I think we're talking about here. When we look at the people we attract. So let's you and I take a little responsibility here, if we could.
Absolutely.
When we look at the people we attract, what is it that we can learn about that? Because I don't know that I'm ever going to not attract. I hate the word never, but I hate the word hate too. But what is it about me that thinks that I have a cycle here and my goal is to be more mindful of who I am? It's not that I'm not going to attract those folks, but isn't the question, oh, okay, how do I recognize that? How do I recognize the struggle? Because it is a struggle with self-love. How do I recognize it, Dr. Kelly? And then what do I do?
Well, we have to look at the patterns, and usually these patterns started in our childhood. They're learned behavior and programming. So, for an example, like if your mother was a control freak, you're going to attract strong women into your life, and it's comforting, but often it's comforting because it's reminding you of how your mother was a control freak, and then suddenly you're surrounded by control freaks, and you're like, how did I get here? And so I think a big part of it is being mindful of the patterns and pinpointing where all of this started. And then we can kind of begin to catch ourselves and walk away, or at least not give so much energy. And this is the thing, control freaks and narcissists, they're people still, and many of the times they're people that we're attached to and we're connected to, and we have to be accountable for forming these attachments. You are absolutely right. You can't look at everybody in your life and say that they're all the problem, because they're the mirror. You let them in. But look through your past and figure out, where these agreements started and where these patterns began.
Yeah. I mean, and what we're talking about is what you put together for today's show is the pathway to loving yourself more deeply. And for those of you out there, I just want to say this. This is a show where you can actually call in and get some help. And what is the help? The help is, what is it that is blocking us from loving ourselves? And the conversation today with Dr. Kelly is going to be to look at, what does self-love actually mean? What does that really mean? How does it show up behaviorally? And then if you are in your life right now and you are not at the place where you're feeling the love for yourself, this would be a way to call in and get some help and get some direction and get some opening. Because part of this is being willing enough to ask the question about, I know that I'm not feeling the love, but I don't know what to do with it. Well, Kelly, when we come back from break, let's talk about this, because you and I know this road very well. I mean, that is how we ended up with, in relationship with narcissists. And for those of you out there, I want to be really clear that there's a difference between the word narcissist that's being thrown around in our pop culture. No, we're not talking about the person that likes to take selfies. No. No.
Although there's a correlation.
But narcissistic personality disorder is something very different. And I know I've been in relationship with a couple of them. And the question is, how does somebody break the pattern of this? And then how do you create the pathway to self-love? Stay tuned. We'll be right back with that and a lot more.
But if you close your eyes, does it almost feel like nothing changed at all? And if you close your eyes, does it almost...
Tune in to The Truth is Funny with Colette Steffen each Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This hit show will have you thinking outside the box and riding the wave of infinite potential. Join Colette on the Higher Self Network, inspiring listeners to shine their brilliance and ensure success while roaring with laughter as they recognize the humor of the giant cosmic joke. Visit thetruthисfunny.com.
Do you want more sales, stronger relationships, a better work-life balance? If you answered yes, then you don't want to miss out on this one-of-a-kind event that will impact your life forever. Finish 2015 strong and make 2016 your best year in business ever.
Connie Fife, host of Masters Chambers, is sending you a special invitation to the Sales and Leadership Summit, November 4th in Newport Beach, California. Join Connie and sales expert Todd Novak to recharge, motivate, and focus.
Don't miss your chance to get in on this one-of-a-kind event and skyrocket your business for 2016. Wednesday, November 4th at the Island Hotel in Newport Beach, California. Lunch, parking, takeaway tools, and workbooks included. Visit slsevent.com. That's slsevent.com to learn more and register your spot at the Sales and Leadership Summit today.
Holistic Medical Center is where you find it all. A healthy space with doctors who care, see, and listen to the whole you. Hi, this is Dr. Darvish. If you have not found an answer to your chronic symptoms, you will find answers here at Holistic Medical Center. Our doctors find the root cause of your symptoms and guide your body towards healing naturally. We transform lives from within. Visit drdarvish.com or call 425-451-0404.
Naturopathic doctor, founder of the Martha's Vineyard Holistic Retreat, and author of the New York Times bestseller 21 Pounds in 21 Days, Dr. Ronnie DeLuce has helped tens of thousands of people, including celebrities and athletes, with her message of lifestyle change. Now Dr. Ronnie DeLuce wants to help you. You too can be saved. Email Dr. Ronnie DeLuce at info@ronniedeluceonradio.com and visit mvholisticretreat.com. Dr. Ronnie DeLuce, your partner in wellness.
Called the Oprah of radio by her listeners, award-winning host Dr. Pat Baccili is blowing the doors off of traditional talk radio. Get ready for an energizing delivery and powerful interviews with leaders in the field of human potential. Dr. Pat's fresh, new perspective on living life full out has catapulted her show to the top of talk radio. Tune in and Dr. Pat will help you thrive instead of merely survive. Visit thedrpatshow.com. That's THEDRPatShow.com for listening times in your area.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's great to have you. Great to have you tuning us in, turning us on. You know, it used to be a whole different conversation about radio, and now it's not. It's like, oh, I got you on my smartphone, I plug it in, I take you in my car, I don't even turn on my radio. I mean, it's a whole new world we live in. And yeah, right, Dr. Kelly, and it's kind of like, it doesn't matter what age you are. You know, there's this myth out there that, you know, technology is all about, you know, people that are under 21. Well, technology and the information about it has changed. You know, we are making judgments about people and what they're capable of and what they're not. But what we know for sure is that in order for life to be juicy and loving, you got to start as an inside job. Dr. Kelly, before we jump back into this, it would be really good for you to tell folks how they can find out more about you and also about the radio show.
Absolutely. You can find out all about me at thelucidplanet.com, which is my website, and that features a lot of my writing and podcasts of the radio show, which is, of course, Lucid Planet Radio. And you can also go directly to lucidplanetradio.com to listen to all the archives, or listen in on SoundCloud, SoundCloud/The Lucid Planet Dr. Kelly. And if you want to get in touch with me, Facebook and Twitter are a great medium because I use them pretty frequently. Facebook, it's just The Lucid Planet with Dr. Kelly, and Twitter, The Lucid Planet. So I'd love to hear from you if you have questions or you want to share stories or you want to know more about any of the things that I'm doing. Love to get in touch.
Awesome. All right. So let's talk about self-love. And can I ask you a question about, you know, maybe take us on a journey of talking about how self-love shows up and how the absence of self-love shows up and Absolutely. Why it's so damaging.
Yeah. You know, this shows up across the board. I mean, it's in terms of psyche. I believe that self-love, or the lack of self-love, it begins in the way that we think about ourselves and the way that we create the narrative of our life. So the story that we create about ourselves, either it reflects love for ourselves or it doesn't. And this is where it starts. And from there, it manifests in our behaviors, i.e. the way we treat our bodies, the way that we choose to engage in activities that make us feel good or that don't make us feel good or that are healthy or unhealthy for us subjectively. It shows up in the people that we have in our lives. It shows up in how we're following our passions. It shows up in really the way we communicate with other people. And like we were saying at the break, self-love really is about the self, but then it's also so intimately linked with other people because we do not exist on an island. We are a social species. And so that social behavior is an incredibly important part of our identities and who we are. So when we have relationships that kind of reinforce feelings of unworthiness, then that leads to lowered self-love, which then leads to more of these relationships that reinforce that lack of self-love, and we can get ourselves into kind of like a vicious cycle, or a, kind of go down this rabbit hole with it. And it can be hard to pull ourselves out, but we can pull ourselves out. And it starts with the way that we speak to ourselves in our own minds, and breaking those cycles of overthinking and comparing ourselves to others. And there are some methods that we can use to kind of do this.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this idea, though, that, we have about ourselves. I mean, there are various aspects of who we are. Yeah. And, someone said to me something a number of years ago about, wow, you got to have balance with those. And I said, I'm not really a big balance girl, but I am about the harmony. When we're talking about emotional, psychological, physical, and spiritual, and how to integrate all of those, trying to balance things has never been my strong suit. But how to make them work together is really what I love. And I would love for you to walk us through what each of those means to you. When we're talking about self-love, what does emotions have to do with it? What is the mind, the psychological part? And then physical is definitely another aspect. And spiritual, I think, is like the stepchild of the conversation. It gets left out.
Yes, it does. That ginger stepchild. The irony here is, this is my perception, and what I've learned from myself and my experience with other people, is that the spiritual really sets the tone for everything else. And so we like to believe, and a lot of the sciences reinforce this idea, although it's changing. We like to believe that everything kind of starts in the body, and that the body feels a certain way. And then based on those feelings, we kind of infer our emotions. And then based on our emotions, we infer our state of mind. And then based on our state of mind, we kind of infer our connection spiritually with each other and the planet and everything else. And what psychology and the sciences, and certainly what I've found, is that it actually works the other way. When we are spiritual, everything kind of works from the top down. So when we recognize kind of our connection, our oneness, our unity with all living beings, that we are all these different manifestations of the divine, that we are all more connected than we could possibly know. And perhaps our consciousness is something that we all share. We're all downloading from the cloud. And when we start looking at it like that, then we can see how that spiritual perspective can affect our state of mind, our psyche, which then affects our emotions. And then our body, our physical, is actually the final thing. The physical is a manifestation of this integration of the mind, of the emotions, and of the spirit. And the body is kind of that last resort where if your body's sick, it's telling you, listen to your emotions, listen to these spiritual feelings and issues that you're having. The body is not the start. The body is like the final kind of ticker that there's something going on with us. And so many times when we are not loving ourselves and we are not feeling those deep connections with spirit, with ourselves, and with other people, we start to become ill. And often it's because we're not putting our attention where it needs to go. And we need to put love into this space. I mean, and you're speaking to someone, I lost my uterus because I was not putting love into that space. I was not connected. And so I learned on a very personal level how important it is to be present with your body and to always recognize the connections that you have with yourself and other and how they're playing out.
Well, part of this too, isn't it, is really understanding, not necessarily dwelling, because I think there's a difference between understanding and dwelling.
Yes.
Not necessarily dwelling on the blockages or the things, but, don't we know it? What I mean by that is, I get a knot in my stomach sometimes, or, I feel like sometimes there's like a little flutter in my heart. Sure. When I'm stepping into something that is really quite uncomfortable and I don't know what to do. How do you help people notice that? Because isn't that sort of, doesn't our physical sort of give us little, light bulbs that go on about something that is really not all that great for us?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, that's like intuition, right? We talk about the gut feeling and learning to recognize what that is. Like, oh, no, it's not that you ate some bad sushi. It's that you're actually more connected than you realize. And so you're starting to experience things that... And this happens, I should just stop to say, as we become more sensitive, as we become more connected, we start experiencing these feelings more and more, and it can be scary and it can be overwhelming. But really getting out of our heads and learning to actually trust the feeling, for me, when I first started this journey, I didn't understand that there's really a difference between a thought and a feeling. I kind of imagined that a thought was me thinking about the way I was feeling, but there's actually a huge difference between a thought and a feeling. And you get to this distinction by quieting down your mind. Overthinking or rumination is the worst thing that you can do for self-love, because again, it's that downward spiral, right? And when we're overthinking and we're ruminating on something, we're taking ourselves out of the present, we're taking ourselves out of our body, and we're taking ourselves away from the feeling, and we're putting ourselves in the realm of thought. And we need to get out of that realm of thought and back into the realm of feeling, because when we get into the realm of feeling, we realize that the one true feeling that overrides all other feelings is love. And there's an infinite amount of love that we can connect to at any moment if we get out of our own heads. So how do we get over our own out of our own heads? Well, we need to breathe.
Yeah.
That's number one. We need to do breathing exercises, even just breathing in for 2 counts in through your nose and out for 4 counts out through your mouth. Even that can take you out of this thinking cycle and bring you back into your feeling space. We need to meditate, or do yoga, or do something physical. Go outside, snuggle with animals and release oxytocin. That also will bring you into your feeling space. We need to practice positive affirmations, looking at ourselves in the mirror and saying, I am deserving of love and respect in my life. Or I am beautiful and my body is beautiful, or whatever it is that you feel is making you feel unworthy. You need to tell yourself that's actually not true, because it's not true. Everybody is totally 100% worthy of love. And that's something as well, that's learned behavior that's being beaten into us and conditioned into us, that, we're not worthy of that love. So these are just some of the things that we can do to kind of get back into that feeling space.
I have to tell you, I think one of the oddest things I've ever done, and I actually do this when I actually work with people, one of the oddest things that I was ever asked to do, and it took me a while to do it, was, one of my mentors said to me, what I want you to do, Pat, is I want you to go out and I want you to get like the rubiest, reddest lipstick you can get. Now, I'm not a ruby red girl, but...
Me neither.
Yeah. Ruby red. I want you to get the ruby red. The most. Yeah. And by the way, don't just get one. You're going to need 2. So get 2. And if you want them different shades, go ahead, get them. And so I went and I got them. And I thought, all right, I got these. And so then, then she said to me, okay, so this is what I want you to do. Every morning when you wake up, I want you to put that ruby red on, and I want you to kiss your mirror. Once, just any place, your bathroom mirror, kiss your mirror and say, I love you. And she said, you only have to do it once a day.
I love it.
And then at night, what I want you to do is, ruby red, she said, if you don't want to go to bed with ruby red, go something like, same thing at the end, you say thank you, kiss the mirror and love yourself. I thought, that is bizarre. I mean, what do you want me to do? So here we have resistance. When we come back, I want to talk about this, because it has to do with forgiveness. What is it about us that is so unwilling to do something as, listen, simple, ruby red, okay? This is for guys too, but you don't have to do the red. Ruby red on the mirror. What is it that says, man, I'm not doing this thing? Once a day in the morning, once a day at night, ruby red on your mirror, don't wash it off, 30 days. When we come back, what the heck is in the way of that? Stay tuned. Dr. Kelly Neff is going to walk us through the journey on forgiveness, what it is and what it isn't, and why, if anything, it's one of the most important aspects of self-love. We'll be right back.
Drink you spilled all over me. Love.
Enlightening, humorous, and compassionate. Listen live to The Kelly Ballard Show, insight and inspiration from the great beyond. Kelly is a fourth-generation medium and intuitive who covers topics ranging from grief, spirit guides, and listening to your intuition. Kelly can help you get answers and guidance from the other side with a little bit of humor and a lot of healing. Tune in to The Kelly Ballard Show, Thursdays at 1 p.m. Pacific Time here on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Transformation Talk Radio is dedicated to the education and awareness of Lyme disease.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Lyme Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Pat, joined here by
Dr. Nusheen Darvish.
Dr. Pat Basili and Dr. Nusheen Darvish will be bringing the most innovative, groundbreaking information, research, treatment innovations, and stories from those it affects every day.
I'm so excited to be talking about this.
We have so much to share.
Dr. Darvish and I are planning to do is connect the dots.
People suffering with all sorts of chronic diseases. It's time. It is time for them to transform.
Tune into Lyme Talk Radio and help keep our mission strong.
For the loyal listeners out there that have been listening to this incredible show on Lyme disease, we are not going to let you down. We're going to come through stronger and enrich the platform for Lyme disease awareness through Lyme Talk Radio. The message will continue, the conversations will become stronger, and the healing epic.
Calling all dreamers. Are you living your dream life? Actualize your possibilities with Life Coaching Radio and your host, Deb Stetzer. If you're feeling stuck in a rut, Deb is here to help you turn your dreams into a reality. Life Coaching Radio. Dream it, live it, be it. To learn more about Deb, visit www.mylifecoach.us.
To Sheer Alchemy with Leslie Fontaine on TransformationTalkRadio.com and get ready to stir up your passions, identify your blocks, and shift into an entirely new existence. Leslie Fontaine is a transformation catalyst and clairvoyant who uses her intuitive and energetic gifts to catapult listeners into living the life they were born to live. Whether it's shifting from scarcity to abundance, from emotional pain into joy, or from illness into health, Leslie will help you step into the true essence and power of all that you are with the help of the Ascended Masters and Archangels. You will not be the same. Visit TransformationTalkRadio.com for show dates and times and LeslieFontaine.com to say yes to explosive abundance.
Each month, listen to Live More Radio with co-host Allie Katz. Join Allie and Dr. Pat as Allie introduces new ways to bring balance back to your life through meditation, sleep, and exercise techniques so you can live your truly authentic life. Stress less, live more. To learn more about Allie, visit livemoreradio.com.
Yeah. Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Dr. Pat Show, Talk Radio to Thrive By. But you know what? You can tune in to listen to Dr. Kelly Neff on LucidPlanetRadio.com. As a matter of fact, today's show, it's really super important. It's really super important show because this is really a struggle now. It is actually one of the things that psychology doesn't really deal directly with. It's buried and hidden in a lot of other what's the word I want to use? Descriptions of pathology. But, you know, that is such a sick word to begin with. You know, Dr. Kelly, I want to make sure that folks know Facebook, right? What's your Facebook?
Oh, yeah. The Lucid Planet with Dr. Kelly. Mouthful.
All right. How about Twitter?
Just the Lucid Planet. That's it.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Sarah, we're getting a couple questions on the music. Tell us what the music is.
Of course. That last song was Lord's song, Ribs. I think that was from her first album.
Very nice. Hey, everybody, this is Sarah.
Hello.
She's stepping in here today. I know you're used to hearing Benny, but this is Sarah. She's like pushing all the right buttons. Thank you.
Go, Sarah.
Of course.
Sarah. Go, Sarah. All right. Love. Forgiveness.
Love, forgiveness.
Right? Self-absorption. Today's show is a pathway to loving yourself more deeply, right?
Yeah.
And, part of this really is, and you and I were chatting during the break, so I might as well go there. I was telling you that, geez, I got to get my hair done, because it's been like forever. And I said, oh, my roots are showing. But actually, my roots are showing so much that what it looks like now is that I got blonde highlights, in my brunette hair. Mm-hmm. And someone said to me, why are you going to go do it? Why are you getting your hair? Why are you going to do it blonde again? Why are you do it blonde? It makes you look like you're trying to hide up the gray and the white. And I'm like, I just wanted to go blonde. I just wanted to try it. I mean, what? But I don't know why you're doing it. It looks like trying. I'm like, have a cuss word here. And part of this is really being able to be who we are. Whatever that even looks like. Yes. But you've got to get through the layers of guilt and shame and secrecy that we carry around. Because if we don't start to look at that, how are we even going to find the pathway? Carve the pathway.
I completely agree. I mean, and we have to recognize, both men and women, we are being raised in a society that's spending billions and billions of dollars marketing to us to tell us that we're not good enough and that we need to change and we need to buy their stuff. And as a result, that leads to a lot of internalized self-hate and feelings of unworthiness. And I mean, I remember teaching in South Orange County. I was a psychology professor for many years, and I would have literally some of the most beautiful people I had ever seen. We're talking about like 19-year-olds with perfect hair and perfect skin, weighing like 100 pounds and a great body, and telling me that they feel fat and ugly and they hate themselves, and that the class that I taught on body image and how this is all like a big game and we don't need to participate, like they're coming to me crying about it, about how like this is the first time they realize that they've been manipulated and that they can just love themselves. And it's so sad to me because this level, the just even the physical shame and guilt and repression and issues and it's not just women. I mean, men have a ton of pressure for how they're supposed to look and how they're supposed to behave in terms of masculinity. It's really, it actually makes me emotional because, imagine if we were raised in a world that told you you're good enough just as you are. You're perfect. You're perfectly imperfect, and you don't have to change. Imagine what we would be like. Imagine would we have the same barriers towards accepting ourselves? I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, think about it. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've had moments in my life, and moments where I was in that space. Somebody asked me this question the other day, and, they said to me, do you ever have a moment where you felt absolutely strong and confident and didn't second guess yourself? I mean, there was a whole series. I mean, it was like a 3-minute question, by the way. And I thought I was going to have like this answer because the question was so long. I thought it was going to be like, man, I don't even know what to say to her. But I got the answer. And my answer was yes. When I was 5 years old, I got a pair of boxing gloves for my birthday. And I put on those boxing gloves, and it was like coming home.
Nice.
And then they said, oh, all right, but how about as an adult? I said, yes. In 2003, my first time getting behind a microphone doing a radio show.
There you go.
And that has never changed.
Yep.
That has never changed for me. But how do we find... how do we find that zone within ourselves, Dr. Kelly. Now, how do we find that zone? Everybody's looking for the zone. Find the zone, find the zone, find the zone. But, we're looking for the zone on the outside.
Yep, exactly. It's all about flow, and flow is this internal dynamic that happens. Flow is when and I think that's what you mean by the zone. Flow is this concept that you can be so into something and love what you're doing so much that you lose track of time, you lose track of yourself. All those fears and doubts and guilt and shame and overthinking and ruminations and whatever, they all go out the window because you're so immersed in the task that you're doing. And for me, at least, creative expression is a huge way to start to begin to find that flow and understand how that flow or that zone works for you. Whether it's writing or talking on the radio or making art or crafting or running is another one. Doing something that immerses you, mind, body, and spirit all together. We all have these gifts within us to give to the world, and often the thing that brings you into flow is really a big part of your purpose.
Yeah, I want to share something if I could.
Please.
We have two major flagship stations. We have others, but we have two. KKNW West Coast, WBOQ on the East Coast. And WBOQ is the home of Transformation Talk Radio and soon to be the home of Transformation Radio.fm. And I got a text, Sarah, for you that I'm going to share with you. I've got something that I want to share with Sarah. And it comes from our other producer in Rhode Island, Hammer, Brian Sullivan. And he says, cool, Sarah is doing quite well behind the soundboard. She has my respect, coming from the Hammer, Brian Sullivan. And, and I said, okay, may I say that? And Brian says, yes, please let her know that I said what I meant. And so I wanted to say that, right? And he goes on to say, being a board operator requires a magic touch, and Sarah has it. Now, he doesn't have to say that. Sarah, you there?
Oh, of course. I appreciate
that.
Yes.
Okay. And you see what that is right there? That thing right there. So, Sarah, can I ask you a question? Are you able to receive that compliment? Okay.
I think so.
Okay, good. Yeah. Because isn't this part of the dialogue here, Dr. Kelly? Because if we're not able to receive the love, right, even from the outside, if we're not able to receive that, I don't even know where we begin to create it from the inside. You hold that thought, because when we come back, that's what we're going to talk about. Brian, I love you, Brian. I love you. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
Where you're standing, I know how it hurts. Let this be your song now, and this be your day. If we stand together, then we'll be okay.
Break down retirement planning step by step to get the real answers you need. Call Jeff Packman, financial advisor, today at 425-453-0272. Office is located at 601 108th Avenue Northeast, Suite 1800, Bellevue, Washington 98004. The Confident Retirement Approach is not a guarantee of future financial results. Investment advisory products and services are made available through Ameriprise Financial Services, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Ameriprise Financial Services, Inc., member of FINRA and SIPC.
You got attitude? Keys to the rescue. Adjust your attitude with Keys Clear Protein Waters. So refreshing. Just a few sips of Keys will give you a whole new outlook, thanks to 22 grams of the happiest protein on earth. Tongue-tingling tasty without the guilt of naughty or nasty ingredients. If that doesn't put a smile on your face, maybe you need to drink too. Put a little woohoo in your attitude with Keys Protein Water on Amazon or at Keys, Kees, please.com.
Sky Siegel co-hosts one of today's most popular psychic shows, Angels and Answers with Artie Hoffman, as she communicates healing messages from the spirit world. These messages can be astounding, enlightening, and life-changing. Born with the God-given talent of inner guidance and the amazing ability to heal, Sky has healed thousands of people. Schedule a reading with Sky now. Call 908-500-1474 and visit skyofangels.com.
Called the Oprah of radio by her listeners, award-winning host Dr. Pat Baccili is blowing the doors off of traditional talk radio. Get ready for an energizing delivery and powerful interviews with leaders in the field of human potential. Dr. Pat's fresh, new perspective on living life full out has catapulted her show to the top of talk radio. Tune in and Dr. Pat will help you thrive instead of merely survive. Visit thedrpatshow.com. That's THEDRPatShow.com for listening times in your area.
Hi, I'm Leslie Fontaine with Sheer Alchemy on Transformation Talk Radio, and here's my tip of the day. Let's talk about unlimited thinking. Let's talk about limitlessness. What would it look like and feel like? Is it only for special people? What if you aren't living a very abundant, powerful life right now? Is this opportunity closed off to you? Absolutely not. This is your chance, without lifting a finger, even telling anyone around you, or leaving the house. You can begin to step into all that you are and all that you were meant to be. Pay attention to the arguments that arise as you articulate the limitlessness of your opportunities, your finances, and the loving and supportive friends and family members around you. Draw them in. Let's shift those agreements from the lower level energies to those that allow you to step into all that you are. Visit me at lesliefontaine.com and listen to Sheer Alchemy on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to the show. Dr. Kelly Neff, go ahead and go to thelucidplanet.com, and I bet you're not going to be able to leave. If you go to that website, thelucidplanet.com, I actually have to put a timer. And on my I have to set my little timer on my smartphone. Every time I go to Dr. Kelly's website, I have to put a timer on there, and I put a 15-minute timer on there. Because if I don't put a 15-minute timer on there, I am not doing my job, and I'm all over Dr. Kelly's website, her information, her shows, what she's doing, and it's amazing. So if you go over there, go to the Lucid Planet, LUCID. Yep, I got a little ping. Pat, spell it. TheLucidPlanet.com. And then Facebook, it's going to be The Lucid Planet with Dr. Kelly. And then Twitter is The Lucid Planet. And of course, you can go to lucidplanetradio.com. Now, this is the time for tips. Little advice here, little compassion, because what I was talking about, before was being able to receive, Dr. Kelly. Tell me about that.
Well, the balance of giving and receiving is one of the greatest struggles that we have with our human social relationships. And it's funny you bring it up because, we just had this fourth blood moon, which of course was in the fourth degree of Aries, but also in Libra and the sun side. And Libra and Aries, it's all about that struggle between the self and other people, really finding balance between giving and receiving. And so many people that I have spoken to are talking about exactly this topic of feeling like they're looking at their relationships and they're seeing more clearly than ever before the imbalances of how to give and how to receive. And for so many of us, when we don't feel worthy, we have a really hard time with receiving. We'll give, and that's how we end up surrounded by narcissists or other toxic people who we need to let go of. But to actually be able to receive requires us really forgiving ourselves and knowing that we're worthy of receiving. And how do we get to that place? Again, it's an internal journey, but it's also making changes on the outside that show we are understanding that we are worthy. So cutting out the people who don't give back to you, who just want to take from you or vamp your light or your energy. Actually cutting the cord, or at least walking away, so that you can fill that space with other people who will come into that space. It's not always immediate, But if your space is full of narcissists or people who don't treat you as if you're worthy, it's going to be hard to feel worthy, and it's going to be hard to attract other people into your life who make you feel worthy because your space is completely filled. But if you start to take your energy away from these people who are narcissistic or toxic and leave that space open, knowing that you're worthy, when somebody comes in who's willing to give, it will be so much easier to accept and to have, well, you know, what we would call like a balanced exchange where you're both giving and receiving, or, you know, a two-way street. You know, my partner and I always said, and this gets easier the more you've experienced it. When you've walked away and you've seen how much better your life gets and how there are good people and you can have like a two-way street, it gets easier. You know, we used to say all the time, my partner and I, when we met, no more one-way streets with people. No more, you know, you're just dumping and I'm just giving and giving and giving and I feel completely drained after, right? No more of that. So that's a big part of being able to receive is putting the right people into your life who are able to give. Just like you also have to be able to give, you know, what you can in the way that you can.
Well, you know, this is really kind of an interesting thing. I mean, it really goes from everything from, you know, me saying, you know, oh my God, you know, what a beautiful dress you have on, or I love your hair, or something like that, just in passing, and you being able to receive that. How often have you heard, Dr. Kelly, how often have you heard people, once they get a compliment, they just blow it off? Can you really talk to them? Because let's talk about tips. That would be one, stop doing that, right?
Yeah. For sure. That one happens all the time. I even find myself doing it where I can't accept. Sometimes I feel, you know, I'll get a text message or someone will say like, has anyone told you how amazing you are today? And sometimes I want to say, I'm not amazing. What are you talking about? I haven't done anything amazing. Look, I'm sitting here, you know, with this paperwork and desk, and I haven't done anything, so don't tell me I'm amazing. And then I'm like, wow, listen to that negative self-talk. Imagine if I could cheerlead for myself the way my friends and loved ones are cheerleading for me, what that would be like. And so you really do have to kind of change the record and say, wow, thank you so much. I am amazing, and so are you, because we're all amazing, you know? And you don't have to do anything. I guess this is my programming, that I feel like I'm only amazing if I accomplish things, right? Meet milestones, deadlines. Oh, I got everything done. Now I'm amazing. But the reality is that there's always going to be something that we have to do. You're amazing just because you are amazing. You don't need an explanation. You don't need to jump through hoops to be great. And you know, that's a big part of it. But yeah, there's so many times, so many people where, and the worst part is, you know, when you give someone a genuine compliment, but they think you're being fake or you're trying to manipulate them. Yeah. And that sucks. And I blame narcissists for that. I blame people who use compliments in a way to manipulate, and so then we feel like we can't accept it. You're going to tell me I'm great one minute and then tell me I'm a loser the next minute. But not everyone is like that, you know?
No, you know, part of this is really, you know, stemming from a level of insecurity and self-defecation. I mean, you know, we're talking about, you know, folks that would kind of engage in life in that way are seriously wounded. And I've learned to have a level of compassion.
Yes, it's very important.
You know, that I didn't have when I was younger, because, I mean, think about how much pain someone must go through to have to go ahead and manipulate a life event like that.
Exactly. And that's the thing about when people treat you poorly or they try to manipulate you, it says a lot about them and very little about you. Learning to not take it personal is also a huge step in that path of self-love. That they're actually hurting right now, they're fighting their own battle, and the way that they treat you, whether it's nasty or manipulative or hurtful, doesn't mean anything about how great you are as a human. You have no control over the way that they're going to treat you, but you have control over how you react. And you can walk away.
Well, you know, this is really part of an ongoing progressive conversation. And, you know, there is such enormous benefits from embracing self-love and then practicing it, because that's really what we're talking about. There's a practical application here. And, you know, I wasn't joking when I said, you know, we got to bang down the door of our soul because we're not used to really opening it gently. You know, we're used to really such the hard struggle of things. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for all you do, Dr. Kelly. I have one last question. What's your personal message? What would you like to leave us with today?
Oh, wow. I mean, oh, there's so much to say. Really is my personal message is we all want to heal and change the world, right? And we all want to help other people. And so many of us are in fields where we want to have these positive impacts, but we have to help ourselves first. And we have to love ourselves first. If you really want to change the world, you change yourself and you'll see those changes happen in the world. If you try to change everybody else, but you're still hurting so much inside, it's going to be so much harder for you. And you're just going to be taking weight on your shoulders that you don't need. Focus on yourself and your own self-love. And from there, you can have a huge impact on the people in the world around you.
I love it. Dr. Kelly Neff, everybody, go to thelucidplanet.com, lucidplanetradio.com. We're going to take a short break, everyone. We'll be right back with the Dr. Pat Show.